So time for our first discussion on the Tuesday edition of the SportsMax Zone. Trinidad and Tobago's Aquatic Sports Association, ASATT, is under new leadership, tasked with preparing an eventful 2025, which will see the country hosting this year's Carifta Swimming Championships in April. President Shawn Pouchet, the first at the helm under the new constitution, plans to develop ASATT into a more member-inclusive association while bringing a new level of professionalism to the executive. Shawn joins us via Zoom live now. Shawn, welcome to the SportsMax Zone. Great to have you on the show. Can we start, first of all, by congratulating you on your election to the top spot and address immediately what are the issues that you feel are the burning concerns at the moment with swimming administration in TNT?
Thanks for having me. Pleasure to be here. And I think you touched on it right there. Just by your introduction, for the most part, swimming has always been highlighted or the forefront of the Aquatics Sports Association, and we are tasked with bringing the other sports into the realm, into the conversation, and we have dedicated committees that we're going to be setting up to ensure that we get a greater emphasis on these other aquatic disciplines. That's the polo, the diving, and the synchronized swimming, or artistic swimming, as they call it. So we're looking to really, as I said, we know we are a 10-member team, the executive that is, but within our fraternity, we have lots of resources, people in different professions that can bring a lot to the association. And as much as possible, we're going to lend on these resources, and wherever necessary, we'll go externally to ensure that we achieve the objectives that we set out.
Yeah, well, you've outlined the multidimensional facet of what the job requires, but can you address the issue of professionalism? Because that's one of the mandates that you're being tasked with, to bring more professionalism to the administration of swimming in TNT.
Yes, so I think as it stands, what we inherited in terms of structure, organizational structure, and just to begin, we are under a new constitution, as you mentioned before, and with that comes a different level of accountability, new aspects in terms of how we handle some of these situations differently than we did in the past. So, as I said, what we inherited, we noticed that there weren't many structures in place, and there were some policies that have changed over time, but we haven't really seen the paperwork or the trail of that, the decision making and so on. So what we intend to do is, through these committees, the first thing we're going to address is the constitution, which needs some work, as we have encountered in our in its first rollout in the inaugural Congress meeting. We noticed that there were some contentious clauses. There's some duplications, and definitely some need for address. And that's the starting point, because I think that's going to guide our operations. More so, we're going to set up committees that deal with the operations. Some simple as running events for the association, whether it be hosted by one of the member clubs or the association itself. Just in the way that things are done, the necessary reporting mechanism, so that we have templates. This is you mentioned Carifta. This is going to be the third or the fourth major competition that we'll be having at the Aquatic Center since it was since it was really opened in 2013. And so we are here, and we have some institutional memory through our members on the committee and so on, and the local organizing committee. But definitely, we want to ensure that we build our templates, we build structures, so there's continuity. We have 4 years, and that is great. So it helps in terms of ensuring that continuity happens. But we also want to ensure that the next regime comes in and they meet something that they'll be able to work with. So it's not always starting from scratch.
Yeah, and addressing the issue of TNT standing as a regional force in swimming. I know TNT and Suriname are the only CARICOM nations with Olympic medals in the swimming pool. But it's really been the Bahamas dominating Carifta swimming, 6 titles in a row. And their president, who, like you, was elected in the past few weeks, is threatening for a 7th consecutive hold on the title. I know TNT haven't won the Curve to Swimming Championship since back in 2010 when Dylan Carter was like 12 or 13 years old, and Christian Homo would have been one of your top swimmers then. How much can you encourage the fans of swimming in TNT that the country will be, becoming a potent force once again in regional swimming?
Yes. So I think we have some strategies that may take some time. What I would say is that we will give Bahamas the biggest fight that they're going to get in their defense in this edition of the Curve. We have a couple athletes that are training in the US will be returning that we hope to highlight our 15 to 17 age group, Liam Carrington and Rudy Ferguson to lead the lines, that is. And we have a very strong 14 group that we think that will represent well. We're working very hard through our national training squad, all the coaches coming together, and we have started the preparation a lot later than we did previously. So we expected to get these kids up and ready to perform for the home crowd and give the best effort in challenging for that title.
Yeah, and pulling off such a competition, and I'm moving now to the technical aspects, the work that goes on behind the scenes to pull off an event of this magnitude. I haven't been to the National Aquatic Center in Couva in a while, actually. Can you just give us an update on how preparations are going when it comes to the facilities, how much more work has to be done? Because before we blink, it's going to be April.
Yes, definitely. So we did meet with the facility management team from the sport company, which manages the facility down at Couva. And we are quite satisfied with what we saw. We know there are a couple adjustments and improvements that we would like to make before the competition. The goal is to use our national championships at the end of February as a test run for this competition. So we are hoping to install the new blocks and to have the timing system up and running from both ends, so we could have starting at both ends of the course, so that the finish will always be at the timer's end to ensure we keep a tighter schedule. We are again relying on some of our regional friends in terms of assisting with the programs as it pertains to the scoreboard and so on. But from a venue standpoint, I think that we were blessed. I mean, it's an indoor facility, which I think the swimmers are going to love, because you just have to contend with that sun for 2 sessions a day. So that's going to be a big plus. And I think that we have raised our checklist in terms of what we need to have in place for that particular venue. As the open water aspect of it, we're going to the Five Islands resort.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
So it was. I think we trialed in the Panama, and it was well received. So I think everybody will enjoy this experience. There's pretty calm water down there.
Yeah, and I read a report that the government of Trinidad and Tobago will be injecting $3.5 million when it comes to executing this event. Has that money been dispersed just yet?
We've only got verbal approval, but we haven't received the releases as yet. We are currently in negotiations with the hotels and so on to finalize those payments. So we are meeting with the local organizing committee, which is the local organizing committee for the whole Curve Championships. As you know, the athletics takes place at the same time.
Yeah.
So there's a bigger body that deals with both, and then ASATT itself, we have our internal organizing committee that deals with the federations directly and a bit more in terms of what is required for our event specifically.
And as you speak about hotels, Radisson Hotel in Port of Spain will be the competition village. Can you tell me a bit more about that? Is it that when the teams come in, they're going to be staying there? Again, are things in place to host these number of teams? Yes.
So, I mean, we have explored, they have some timelines with the opening of an additional wing. If that isn't in place, we do have contingencies in place we may not necessarily have all the teams stay in one particular hotel, but we have in the same vicinity capacity for all the teams.
And how important is, having a good event to you and your administration? Because one of the things is when things don't go to plan or, is not executed smoothly, the first people they point fingers at would be the administration, which would be you.
Yes, and I had an interview with a local reporter from the Newsday, and he did mention, he did ask me about this, and I told him, quite frankly, it is a trial by, you could face a lot of scrutiny and backlash from not executing properly here, and we were well aware of the challenge. When we came in, we knew the timing wasn't perfect, but thankfully there was some continuity. We have been dealing with the former second vice president, who has been assisting with the current executive to ensure we have that. So we're not starting from ground zero. And right now, the third vice president, William Carr, he's heading the committee with respect to this event, and we are having weekly meetings. We're getting updates. We have some experienced people in the officiating field. We have persons who have dealt with the logistics with respect to transport, which I think is the biggest concern for most of the federations taking part. And thankfully, it is the Easter weekend, and we expect to have a little lighter traffic on the roads. And we still have ensured that we will have that additional support from the local organizing committee with respect to the outriders and so on to ease the transport concerns of the participants.
Yeah, interesting that you speak about the potential transport issues, Shawn, because that same weekend will be the Carifta Track and Field Championships, which will also be held in Trinidad and Tobago. Have you yet gotten a handle on, just how both events will be managed, and if any at all, how that will impact your organization and the preparation for the swimming portion?
Yeah, I think, well, fortunately, I mean, track and field, they're also utilizing some of the similar hotels in the region, in the vicinity between, amongst Marriott, Hyatt, Radisson, a couple extra, we have Hilton, a couple others that we have on the radar. So we are all going to be utilizing similar hotels, but capacity-wise, I think we're okay. From the organizing committee on the Aquatics side, we have also touched base with a lot of the hotels in the South Central region, so that they have capacity as well. We were more thinking along the lines of the spectators and the officials to be in that zone. The track and field takes place in Port of Spain, which is, again, is two different directions when they leave their games village or the hotels, however you want to couch it. So it shouldn't really be too much of a concern with respect to persons traversing to either of the events, because they'll be moving in different directions.
Yeah, and just to be clear, it is the organizing committee, the host country, who is in charge of the accommodation.
Well, there's two levels, right? So there's the local organizing committee with respect to the headed by the sport company, which deals with more of the logistics holistically, transport and the opening ceremony. We're going to have for the first time a joint opening ceremony. So that's one of the things that they are going to manage, ensuring that the forces in terms of police, fire, defense force, and those sort of things are in place, making sure that we have so we're able to execute. It's still on the ASATT committee to finalize the arrangements. Of course, we rely heavily on the support and the financial support to ensure things go as we plan. So we will be relying on the funds from the sport company to ensure that we could handle the accommodation requirements.
Yeah, and the reason I asked that question, Shawn, is because I was reading where you still needed to make some down payments on hotels and so on. So I was trying to gather whether that would also include accommodation for the athletes, or whether each individual country has to take care of their own accommodations.
No, it's on the organizing committee. So part of the packages that we give a package price to the federations, and we do the negotiations with the hotels to ensure that we have the accommodation covered for them. And we actually have a LOT meeting with sport company on Thursday. So that will probably be one of the high ticket items. I know that Entry would have initiated and started making some payments on some of their accommodation. So we are expecting to get that ball rolling in the next week or two.
Okay, Shawn, we're going to leave it there. Thanks again for talking to us. Congrats again on being elected president of the ASATT, in charge of swimming and aquatics in TNT. And we'll be in touch over the coming months as you get closer to your start date for the championship. Thanks again.
Thank you very much. I'm looking forward to partnering with you guys. I enjoyed coverage last year, and we'll hopefully open up the discussions to see if it's something we could ensure happens.
Yeah, that's already in the pipeline. And we'll go to a break now, and we'll be back with more on the SportsMax Zone after this.